stand by for action.
Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Milner. I am the Unpleasant Blind Guy, and I want to welcome you to part one of this episode of the Unpleasant Blind Guy on EDL Radio. Now remember, if you want to contact me with comments, questions, show suggestions, Awesome American suggestions, I'm available at UBG Contact on Twitter, or I can also be found as Dave Milner or Agador, that's Aggedor, on Mumblet, the Tea Party Community, Spreely, Minds, MeWe, or Gab. Now let's begin.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. I hope, indeed I pray, that we shall not be found unworthy of our victory if after toil and tribulation it is granted to us. For the rest, we have to gain the victory. That is our task. Let us therefore brace ourselves to our duty, and so bear ourselves that if the British Empire and its commonwealths last for 1,000 years, men will still say, this was their finest hour.
We shall not fail or falter. We shall not weaken or tire. Neither the sudden shock of battle nor the long-drawn trials of vigilance and exertion will wear us down. Give us the tools, and we will finish the job.
We shall go on to the end. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
You have tried to change my country. You've tried to change my life. No one ever asked me if I thought that this was right. It's time for us to tell you that we will go through hell to defend our country and to help the EDL. I'm proud to be an Englishman and I'm going to be free. I won't forget the men who died to get that right to me, and we will stand up against you and defend England every day. There's no doubt we love this land. God save England and the UK. Lied to all the people and tried to take away their rights, but we won't let you sell this land, not without a fight. It's time for us to tell you that you can go to hell. It's time for us to stand and fight and join the EDL. I'm proud to be an Englishman and I'm going to be free. I won't forget the men who died to give that right to me, and we will stand up against you and defend England every day. There's no doubt we love this land. God save England and the UK. And I'm going to be free. I won't forget the men who died to give that right to me, and we will stand up against you and defend England every day. There's no doubt we love this land. God save England.
you go. Good evening and welcome to the English Defence League radio show, broadcasting live on blogtalkradio.com. The English Defence League radio show, the truth and the voice of the EDL. Tonight's banner show is the English Defence League radio show, Comrades Crusade. The script starts with, welcome to the English Defence League radio show with your host, Jeff Spider Mitchell, and my wingman for this evening is Dave Agador Milner. Tonight we'll be discussing the ever-present threat of communism, which has been with us in one form or another for thousands of years. Now, in 2019, it's being embraced and promoted by such would-be tyrants as Jeremy Corbyn in the United Kingdom and Bernie Sanders in the United States. The Bolsheviks have allied themselves with the like-minded fascists, neo-Nazis, and the death cult of Islam. As we move into the final month of this year, the danger of worldwide oppression has never been more clear for all to see. Be comforted, ladies and gentlemen, that the English Defence League and other freedom fighters will span the planet to stand up against them. God is with us and we will win. No surrender ever. All that is necessary for evil to prevail is that good men do nothing. That was by the late great Edmund Burke. Those who make peaceful revolution impossible will make violent revolution inevitable. And that was by the late great President John F. Kennedy. And without further ado, let me bring in my colleague, my friend, my wingman, the only Mr. Dave Agador Milner. Good evening and good afternoon, my friend.
Yes, good evening to you, Jeff. Good evening to everybody in the UK. Hello to everybody in the United States. Good evening to you, and good day to everyone around the world, and, of course, off Earth. Now, I want to do something real quick, Jeff, if you don't mind. For those listening to this particular part of this episode at the Unpleasant Blind Guy page at Spreaker.com, I want to wish you a happy and prosperous 2020, because this podcast, which is live on December the 5th, 2019, will be rebroadcast on the Unpleasant Blind Guy page at Spreaker.com on the 1st of January, 2020. And I want to say to you guys, the year of the Patriots may be over, but the time for Patriots has never been more pronounced. So go with God and do what you do in 2020. Jeff, I just want to say, by the way, also that you guys, I appreciate you more than I can say. Jeff, I know you feel that way, too, about our listeners to the English Defence League radio show, live and right now,
I certainly do. I was thinking my thoughts are always out there with our patriots across the globe. It's something I think about constantly, actually, Dave, since I've been doing these radio shows and being a part of the great organisation of the EDL. It's never been away from my mind, not for less than 5 minutes. So, yes, ever since I got involved with the EDL, it's just been, I've committed my life to doing what I do, for speaking out against the oppressed, speaking out against young children up and down the country being raped and groomed by despicable, absolutely evil people. I'll continue to do so, whether it's Christmas, whether it's summer, whatever it might be. My fight, my crusade, this is my personal crusade, will always continue until righteousness prevails. That's the way I've always looked at it. My journey in life, Dave, this final section of my life has been about the crusade of doing what's right for the people of our nations. That's what it's about, mate.
Can't say better than that, Jeff. And guys, Now, you might be looking at our title for tonight and asking yourselves, okay, what is this? Is this 1984? They're talking about communism here, and they usually talk about Islam on this program, and they're talking about communism. Well, guys, the reason that I put in the script what I did is because the communists, socialists, the Nazis, and the Mohammedans have banded together to oppose Christianity, to oppose normalcy, to try and tear our countries down where our people can live free and where our children can have a normal childhood in the street without having to worry about being groomed and raped and sodomized and things of that nature. All right, so it is very relevant to talk about the issue of communism, which is still out there and still with us. I know the left like to try and make fun of it. Oh, you're going to talk about the Red Menace. Yeah. The people in the press that say that, yeah. We talk about it because you guys in the press, you're a part of it. Okay? So, get ready for that. Now, guys, we have a few articles and some audios that I think you're really going to want to hear and enjoy. Jeff, I'm going to pass you this first article right now. This is from the Metro, all right? And Jeff is going to read this first one. This is about Jeremy Corbyn, the election, guys. In the UK, the general election is on the 12th. Okay, that's a week off. And this is very important this is a very important aspect of Jeremy Corbyn that you might want to hear about before you go to the polls next week. This is by Zoe Druitt, and it was written on Friday on the 29th of November, okay? And Jeff, when you're ready, we can take this away.
I was just going to say a little footnote what I'm going to say before I read the article. It's always been known that Jeremy Corbyn is a Marxist. This article I'm going to read now will let you know, the listeners, exactly what he's all about, and what the Labour Party is all about, and why, when you go to cast your vote, remember, this man has evil intentions for people like ourselves who believe in freedom and that. So there you go. Jeremy Corbyn, you say, it comes from the Metro. Thank you, Dave. Jeremy Corbyn questions Israel's right to exist in a resurfaced interview. A clip of an interview Jeremy Corbyn gave to an Iranian television service has resurfaced after the Labour leader was accused of allowing the party to become riddled with anti-Semitism. In 2011, documentary examining allegations of BBC bias towards Israel for Press TV, Mr. Corbyn, then a Labour backbench MP, appeared to question whether Israel has a right to exist. The clip began circulating on social media today amid mounting criticism aimed at Mr. Corbyn after he failed to apologise for anti-Semitism in an interview with the BBC this week. In it he said, there is pressure on the BBC from the Israeli government and the Israeli embassy. They are very assertive towards all journalists and the BBC itself. They challenge every single thing I'm reporting the whole time. I think there is a bias towards saying that Israel is a democracy in the Middle East. Israel has a right to exist. Israel has its security concerns. He also accused the Director General of the BBC, there is a video clip of this actually, Mark Thompson, of having an agenda in this respect. The Iranian state-owned Press TV service was taken off air in Britain in 2012 after its licence was revoked by the broadcasting regulator Ofcom after it showed a clip of an apparent confession by documentary maker Mazria Bahari in Tehran, which he claimed was obtained via torture. The documentary was looking into the BBC after it was condemned for its decision not to broadcast a charity appeal from Gaza. In 2009, both the BBC and the Sky chose not to broadcast the appeal, prompting angry protests and 40,000 complaints. Politicians, religious leaders and senior members of the BBC staff at the time condemned the decision. Mr Corbyn has insisted there is no place in Labour for anti-Semitism after a scathing attack by Britain's chief rabbi, Ephraim Mervis. He accused Mr Corbyn of allowing a poison sanctioned from the top to take root in Labour. At the launch of the Labour Race and Faith Manifesto in Tottenham, North London, Mr Corbyn attempted to fight back, saying his party was tackling the problem. Are they really tackling it? Yeah. He said anti-Semitism in any form is vile and wrong. And I think that is what he had to say. And we all take what Corbyn says with a pinch of salt. Dave, what can we say? He talks about vile. He is the most vilest person to actually be in opposition to a Conservative Party. A Marxist. He looks, if you look at him, he looks a bit like the Marxist himself, doesn't he?
Well, it's the copper-bound nerve that the guy has, really, okay, to come out only after he's criticized for the anti-Semitism that has grown in his own party, to give these mealy-mouthed statements about how anti-Semitism is wrong and this kind of thing. Yeah, where has he been the past few years when MPs in his party have stood up and made anti-Semitic statements and things of that nature? And where was he in 2011? Well, we know one place where he was. He was on Iranian TV questioning whether or not Israel had the right to exist. Now that there's an election on the line, now that there's a possible PM post on the line, here he is saying, oh, no, Israel has its own security concerns. That's complete BS, and part of it is because of a disastrous interview.
It's bullshit, Dave. I won't tell it as it is. It's bullshit. What he says, whatever he says, I take it like Turkey. This is how you look at Turkey, the way, the art of the way Muslims lie to you and me. And Corbyn is doing no different. He thinks we're all stupid. The trouble is, he's not going to win any election. He's been lucky if he could win a lucky lottery ticket, mate. You know, let's be honest. He's despicable, horrible, disgusting man. Sit down with the RA, etc. You know, and anti-Semitism. My goodness me, it's probably the worst thing you can look towards is the Labour Party, isn't it, though?
Well, and remember, Jeff, he's also had good things to say about Hamas. I mean, this is a guy who is perfectly willing to embrace terrorists of more than one stripe, and now part of the reason why he came out with this denial of anti-Semitism was because he had a horrible interview on the BBC, and I'm going to read this next thing here a bit myself. It's a big, long article, but I'm going to read it, just a little bit of it here. This one here comes from Terry Ann Williams from the Mail Online, and this was updated on the 27th of November. We've been holding this one back a little bit because things about Corbyn, and this is part of the reason that the ideas sprung up for the show that it did. Things about Corbyn and the Labour Party had been just stacking up and up and up, and we had to bring these two out. This one here, reading the headline, Corbynistas admit Labour leader's interview with Andrew Neil was, quote, truly horrific, awful, end quote, as they launch panicked bid to, quote, drown out, end quote, online reaction to it. As I scroll down, guys, typical of the left, all right, they want to control the narrative so much that in this case, they went online en masse to try and make a giant failure of theirs look like a success. You know, I mean, how many times have we seen this? Now, there are 3 bullet points. The first one, Labor leader Jeremy Corbyn appeared on the Andrew Neil show yesterday. Second one, leaked messages show labor activists thought the interview was, quote, awful, end quote. I'm just loving this, Jeff. I want to get out the popcorn. And the last bullet point, vowed to, quote, flood hashtags of the program with, quote, positive messages, end quote. I mean, this is just ridiculous, guys. Labor activists admitted Jeremy Corbyn's performance on the Andrew Neil show was, quote, truly horrific, end quote. And you guys can find some of this on YouTube, just as you can find that clip of him questioning Israel's right to exist on that last article. That's why we gave you the details. As they vowed to push images and stories with positive messages to try and deflect from the, quote, awful, end quote, appearance. During the interview, which aired last night on the BBC, Mr. Corbyn refused 4 times, people, to apologize to the UK Jewish community after the chief rabbi slammed the party for how it deals with anti-Semitism. Now, that gives you an idea why he said what he did for that Metro article, which appeared a little bit later, okay? The labor leader was challenged over Ephraim Mervis's allegation that the party's claims it is doing everything to tackle anti-Jewish racism was a, quote, mendacious fiction, end quote. Ooh, I like that. All right. No, he's not right because he would have to produce the evidence to say that's mendacious, Mr. Corbyn replied. What a slimy, lawyeristic reply. God. Okay, let's keep on reading, guys. But he floundered when Mr. Neil detailed specific cases of anti-Semitism by labor members who faced little or no sanction. And we actually had a few of those here on this program. And now to continue, Corbyn was also forced to admit labor would breach its long-standing promise not to raise taxes on workers earning under $80,000. Now, guys, as an American, that sounds extremely familiar to me because over here, our presidential candidates who are promising everyone the moon and the stars and the planets are saying they can do it just by taxing the evil rich people. But the fact is that every time these things happen, they always come for the working people too. So, guys, whether you're in the UK, the United States, any other country that's going to have a general election soon, within the next few years, remember, this is a dodge, okay? They're not just going to tax the evil rich, usually not their own friends. They're going to tax you too if you work for a living and you have just a little bit of money for yourself because they want to take your power. Now let me get back to the article. I'm sorry, Jeff. I went off on one there. Let me read some of these things, and then I want to bring you in. Let me read some of these things, some of these messages that came out.
Dave, we've got.
Go ahead.
Fulperbites joined us. He says, "Avast, you scurvy knaves." And I've just gone, oi, oi, Fulperbite, avast there, laugh out loud. He sings, listen to this, Dave, he sings, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." Well, you all want tonight, Fulperbite. I just want to let you know, Dave, that Fulperbite has joined us.
Welcome, Vorp. Yeah, well, welcome, Vorp. I would buy you and the rest of the world a Coke, but Coca-Cola has gone halal, so I ain't spending my money on that. All right. Now, Jeff, I want to read a few. I want to read a few of these messages to you, brother, and then I want to turn it over to you for comments on this on this article and just this double dealing performance. Okay. Now, the first message in this, and again, guys, you can find this just by scrolling down in this article. Folks, need everyone to listen a sec. Jeremy has pre-recorded an Andrew Neil interview already, and apparently it's truly horrific. This is coming from lefties, guys. And then they finish up with, like awful. And then the next one, 10 minutes purely on AS. Now, I'm not sure what that is. The next one is the chief rabbi, etc. Okay, so that anti-Semitism, I guess, is what AS is. So 10 minutes purely on anti-Semitism, the chief rabbi, etc. JC refused to apologize to the rabbi. So it's going to be brutal. Again, this is from the left. Also on WASPI. And Neil ripped it apart. Brother, please, man, please. What do you got? What do you got to say about this?
He shouldn't send a man to fight. Shouldn't send a boy to fight a man's war, and that's by the sounds of it with Corbyn. Was put in the lion's den, and he didn't have a clue what to say or do. In total denial, and refused point blank on 4 occasions to apologise for anti-Semitic remarks. I think it sums it all up, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? Exactly where the Labour Party stands. I'm not for politics, far from it. But I would steer clear away from the Corbynites out there, ladies and gentlemen. In the next 7 days, you've got a chance to totally diminish and totally devolve this Labour so-called party. Dave, I'm sorry, mate, I just had to. I had to.
Oh, well, keep on going, man. I mean, that's why I brought you in, because this is...
And that is it for this time. Next time, part 2. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for listening, and may your God go with you. Goodbye.
The Unpleasant Blind Guy is copyright 2020. Anno Domini. Now for Dave's Canes. Extras that help you navigate the new media world.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
From a public locker inside a dilapidated Long Island rail station comes a show designed to piss off liberals using truth, facts, and ridicule. The Lid Radio Show, featuring the conservative voice from the People's Republic of New York, the Lid himself, Jeff Dunitz. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com. At Lid Radio, we fight for the truth, justice, and a good kosher T-bone. If you don't listen, Hillary Clinton might sneak into your bedroom in her housecoat late at night and blame you for her election loss. It's the Lid Radio Show with Jeff Dunitz.
This is Shannon Wright of The Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Mike's not here, so I gotta talk fast. You gotta join us. Fall season. Getting ready to start up with a whole bunch of new stuff. News and food and politics and sports and entertainment and a whole bunch of stuff. But wait, Mike's coming. I gotta go. Remember, Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media, Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in.
Featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American maggots won't. BZ is fundamentally changing America one diaper at a time. Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, where the speech is free, but the drinks are not. The Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night, commencing at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific. where pushback is a requisite art form in and of itself. Let your ossicles be truly liberated when you listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, only on SHR Media Network. No ferrets were harmed in the making of this ad.
Join me, Jack Alexander, for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the issues affecting the USA. I fearlessly take on the issues that everyone else is too scared to touch. The Jack Alexander Experiment podcast is available wherever good podcasts can be found, like Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcast. The Jack Alexander Experiment, because it's not a matter of left versus right, it's a matter of right versus wrong.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Featuring the effervescent contrarian Sackheads Clint, plus the unrestrained bulbosity of BZ, the Sackheads Against Tyranny is a real chat show. Doubling your late-night conservative talk show pleasure with double the hosts, you can listen every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Please note, some contents may have settled during shipping. Member FDIC, batteries not included, warranty void in Montenegro.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.